anger isn't really about them. It's about you. Think about it. The same words that set you off might not even bother the person standing next to you. Why? Because it's not the words that carry the power, it's what you've got going on inside. If you're already tired, stressed, insecure, those words hit a nerve and light you up. But if you're steady, confident, at peace with yourself, those same words bounce right off. What that shows us is simple. People don't create your anger, they just expose it. And once you see that, you stop chasing the impossible idea of changing everyone else, and you start focusing on the only person you can control, you. It's not the noise outside that gets to you, it's the volume you set inside. Two people can hear the same insult, the same criticism, but only one walks away boiling. Why? Because they turn the dial all the way up. The truth is, you control that dial. If you keep it high, every little word feels like an explosion. If you lower it, the same words turn into background static, and here's the catch. People don't get louder when you turn your volume down, they just stop mattering as much. That's where your peace is, not in shutting the world up, but in learning how to quiet it inside you. Picture this: you're walking around with a glass of water in your hand. Someone bumps into you and it spills everywhere. And if I asked you, why did the water spill, you'd probably say, because they bumped into me. But that's not really true. The water spilled because that's what was inside the glass. If the glass had been filled with orange juice would have spilled. If it had been filled with coffee would have spilled. The bump didn't create what came out of you. It only revealed it. Now think about your own life. Someone cuts you off in traffic, and you explode with anger. Someone makes a rude comment, and you fire back with frustration. Someone ignores your call, and suddenly you're boiling inside. It's easy to blame them. They made me mad, they ruined my day, they pushed me over the edge. But, just like that glass, what came out of you didn't come from the bump. It came from what was already inside you. If you're carrying bitterness, bitterness is going to spill. If you're full of insecurity, insecurity is going to spill. If you're already stressed and on edge, the tiniest push will knock everything over. But if you're carrying patience, then patience comes out. If you're filled with calm, calm is what flows. If you're filled with confidence, then even when life bumps into you hard, you don't lose control. You just steady yourself and keep walking. And here's the part nobody tells you. Life will always bump you. People are going to test you. Situations are going to frustrate you. The world isn't built to tiptoe around your emotions. The bumps are guaranteed. The question is, what are you filling yourself with before the bump even happens? Because that's what's going to spill. Think about your morning. You wake up already rushing, scrolling your phone, feeding yourself negativity before the day even begins. You're filling your glass with chaos, so the first coworker who says something sideways to you, boom, you spill all over them. But what if you started your day filling your glass differently, with patience, with gratitude, with perspective? You'd still get bumped, because people are people, but what spills out of you would be different. And you know what else? People can feel it. They can tell when you're the person who can't handle a bump. They know the words that set you off. They know the look that makes you snap. And if they want control over you, they'll use it. But when you're the person who's filled with calm, who doesn't spill anger everywhere, people stop pushing your buttons because they realize your buttons don't work anymore. That's real strength, not in avoiding the bump, but in mastering what you're filled with before it happens. So let me ask you this. If someone bumped into you right now, what would spill? Would it be patience or would it be anger? Would it be grace or would it be bitterness? That answer tells you what you've been carrying around. And if you don't like what's spilling out, the solution isn't to blame the bump. It's to change what's in your glass. Nobody can make you angry without your permission. And I know that sounds crazy because it feels like they can. It feels like the driver who cuts you off on the road, flips a switch inside you. It feels like the coworker who talks down to you presses a button you can't help but react to. It feels like the family member who keeps bringing up the same old thing knows exactly how to trigger you. But here's the truth. They don't actually have the power to make you feel anything. What happens is you hand them that power. It's like giving someone the remote control to your emotions. Every time you react instantly, you're basically saying, "Here, you decide how I feel today." And once they've got that remote, they can push play, pause, rewind, fast forward whenever they want. Some people even enjoy it. They know exactly which button to push to get a rise out of you, and the more you let them do it, the more they'll keep doing it. But imagine this, imagine someone presses your button and nothing happens. They expect you to explode, but you don't. They expect you to get defensive, but you don't. They expect you to roll your eyes, raise your voice, lose control, but you don't. That silence, that calm, that non-reaction, that's power, because suddenly you're not the puppet anymore. You're the one holding the strings. See, the moment you realize nobody can make you angry without your permission is the moment you take your control back. You stop being a victim of people's words and actions, and you start being the one who decides how your day goes. That's where freedom is, not in changing what people say, but in refusing to let them control what you feel. Every time you react, you hand them control. Think about that for a second. When someone says something rude to you and you snap back, you just confirmed that they own your emotions. When someone cuts you off in traffic and you spend the next 10 minutes yelling at your windshield, you just gave a stranger, someone you'll never even see again, authority over your peace of mind. When a family member drags you into the same old argument and you bite the bait, you're not proving your point, you're proving they can still pull you in whenever they want. It's wild, right? Because in the moment, it feels like you're taking control. It feels like you're standing up for yourself, fighting back, showing them they can't mess with you. But what's really happening is the opposite. You're showing them exactly how to control you. You're showing them which words to use, which buttons to push, which tone of voice to take. You're showing them the recipe for making you lose it. And once they know it, they'll keep cooking with it. Here's what people don't realize. Reacting isn't strength, it's surrender. It's surrendering your calm, your focus, your energy. And every time you surrender like that, you walk away more drained, not more powerful. You ever notice how after an argument, you replay it in your head for hours? How after yelling in traffic, you're still tense long after the car is gone? That's not strength, that's being held hostage by someone who doesn't even care they've taken you captive. Now picture the opposite. Someone tries to provoke you, and you don't give them what they want. You stay calm. You respond, not react. Or maybe you don't even respond at all. You just let it pass. That doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean you let people walk all over you. It means you decided your peace is worth more than their drama. It means you refused to let them write the script for your emotions. And the crazy thing, the less you react, the more their control over you disappears. They can't push your buttons if you disconnect the wires, but let's be real. This isn't easy because our egos love the reaction. Our egos want the last word. Our egos want to prove we're right. And in chasing that quick win, we hand over something much bigger, our peace, our time, our energy. That's the trade. And once you see the cost, it hits different. You start realizing that not every battle deserves a warrior. Not every insult deserves a comeback. Not every situation deserves your energy. So here's the shift. Start asking yourself, is this reaction worth my control? Because every reaction is a transaction. You're trading your control for a few seconds of ego satisfaction. And the truth is, that's a bad deal. Keep making that trade, and you'll stay broke in peace. Refuse to make that trade, and you'll stay rich and calm. And let me tell you something powerful. You don't owe anyone a reaction, not the driver, not the coworker. Not the stranger online, not even the people closest to you. Your reaction is your choice, and when you stop giving it away so easily, people start noticing. They realize you can't be baited. They realize you can't be manipulated. They realize you're not handing out free control anymore. And that shift, that's when you start walking into rooms differently. That's when you stop being the one people can play with and start being the one they respect, even if they don't like it. So the next time someone pushes your buttons, remember this: reacting doesn't prove your strength, keeping your control does. Because the strongest person in the room isn't the loudest, it's the one who can't be moved. That pause, that tiny moment right before you react, that's where your power lives. Most people blow right past it. They feel the spark, and before they even know it, the fire is already burning. Somebody says something slick, and instantly the words come flying out of their mouth. Somebody rolls their eyes, and instantly the anger shows up in their face. It happens so fast that it feels automatic, like they didn't even have a choice. But the truth is, there's always a choice. It just happens in such a small window that most people never notice it, and here's the thing: that pause is not weakness. That pause is strength, it's discipline, it's you saying, hold on, I decide how I respond here, not my ego, not my anger, me. Think of it like this: when you hit pause on a remote, the movie doesn't disappear. It's still there, waiting, but you've stopped it in its tracks until you decide what to do with it. That's exactly what happens in that moment. The situation is still there, the comment is still there, the disrespect is still there. But you stop it long enough to make a choice. And the difference between people who are controlled by anger and people who control anger is what they do with that pause. Some people throw it away and let their emotions take over. Others use it like a weapon. They breathe. They think, they ask themselves, do I really want to give this person my control? Is this worth the energy? Or am I about to hand over the keys to my peace just because my pride got poked? That one breath, that 1 second, can completely change the outcome. Because here's what nobody tells you: reacting feels good in the moment, but it usually makes things worse. You yell, now they're yelling louder. You snap, now they've snapped back. The fire grows, but when you pause, you break the cycle. You cut off the oxygen. You stop the fire before it starts. That's not just control. That's mastery. And if you really pay attention, you'll notice something. The pause actually grows the more you practice it. At first, it feels impossible. You're triggered, and before you know it, you've reacted. But the more you train yourself to pause, the bigger that window gets. You start to feel the anger rising, and instead of instantly exploding, you can hold it. You can breathe. You can make a decision, and one day you'll notice that the same thing that used to set you off doesn't even move you anymore. That's when you know you've shifted from being controlled to being in control. And I'll tell you this, people will notice. They'll test you expecting the old reaction, and when it doesn't come, they'll be thrown off. Some might even get frustrated that they can't get to you anymore. But that's the point. That's how you win, not by fighting every battle, but by refusing to be dragged into one you don't need to fight. Ask yourself this question in that pause: do I want to give them control, or do I want to keep it? It sounds simple, but that question can save you from 1,000 regrets. Because every time you react, every time you snap, every time you let someone drag you into their storm, you're basically saying, here, take my peace, take my focus, take my energy. And once it's gone, you don't get it back. Think about how many times you've walked away from an argument replaying it in your head. You're driving home, you're in the shower, you're lying in bed, and you're still hearing their words, still feeling your heart race, still thinking about what you should have said. That's not you keeping control, that's you letting them live rent, free in your mind. But when you stop in that moment and ask yourself, do I want to give them control, or do I want to keep it? You shift the whole game, because here's the truth: people only have the power you hand them. They can insult you, they can criticize you, they can try to tear you down, but none of it sticks unless you let it. None of it lands unless you open the door. And the moment you recognize that, you realize you don't have to fight every battle, you don't have to defend every word, you don't have to prove yourself to anybody. You just have to decide, no, I'm keeping this one, I'm keeping my peace, I'm keeping my control. And here's what's wild: when you start living by that question, the same things that used to throw you off balance suddenly don't anymore. Someone tries to bait you, and instead of reacting, you smile. Someone cuts you off, and instead of chasing them down, you keep driving. Someone throws shade, and instead of clapping back, you let it pass. Why? Because you already asked yourself the question, and you already know the answer. You'd rather keep control. And you know what happens when you do that consistently? You become untouchable. Not because people stop trying to get under your skin, but because you stop giving them the keys. They'll still press, they'll still poke, they'll still test, but you're not handing over control anymore. And that changes everything. You don't have to change them to feel peace. You don't have to convince them to be kinder, softer, nicer, or more respectful. You don't have to beg people to stop being difficult, because let's be honest, some people aren't going to change. Some people are going to keep running their mouths. Some people are going to keep poking at you, keep disrespecting you, keep doing things that make you want to explode. And if your peace depends on them changing, you're never going to have peace. That's the trap most of us fall into. We keep waiting for the world to behave. We tell ourselves, if they would just stop talking like that, I'd be fine. If they would just respect me more, I wouldn't get so mad. If they would just act right, I wouldn't feel this way. But here's the truth. That's like waiting for the ocean to stop having waves before you go swimming. It's never going to happen. You don't calm the waves, you learn how to surf them. And that's the real power self, mastery. Because when you master yourself, when you master your emotions, when you master your reactions, it doesn't matter if the waves are big or small, calm or rough. You're steady no matter what. You're not at the mercy of who's around you or what mood they're in. You walk into chaos and stay calm. You walk into disrespect and stay confident. You walk into negativity and keep your energy clean. That's strength. That's freedom, and the best part, when you stop trying to change everybody else, you get your energy back. You stop wasting time arguing with people who don't want to listen. You stop losing sleep over people who don't even think about you. You stop giving away pieces of yourself trying to manage how everyone else acts. Instead, you put that energy into mastering you, into filling your own glass with patience, with perspective, with self-control, so when the bump comes, you spill peace instead of anger. Because here's the truth. You'll never win trying to manage the behavior of other people, but you'll always win when you manage yourself. When you stop giving people the reaction they're looking for, everything changes. Because let's be real, most people don't push your buttons by accident. They know exactly what they're doing. They want to see you flinch, they want to see you snap, they want to see you lose it. Why? Because your reaction entertains them, it feeds their ego, it makes them feel powerful, like they can control you with just a word or a look. But the moment you stop giving them that reaction, the game ends. Imagine someone throws a hook in the water, waiting for you to bite, and you just swim right past it. They're standing there with their bait, their line, their trap, and you don't give them the satisfaction. You don't bite. That silence, that calm, that refusal to play along, it's not weakness, it's strength. Because now they're frustrated, they're confused, they can't figure out why the old tricks don't work anymore. And while they're losing their grip, you're gaining yours. And here's what's powerful, you don't have to announce it. You don't have to say, you don't bother me anymore. You don't have to make a speech about how calm you are. You just live it. You just refuse to hand over that reaction, And over time, people notice. The ones who thrived on your anger, the ones who loved pulling you into drama, they get bored and move on. Because what's fun about pressing a button that doesn't do anything? It's almost funny when you see it happen. They throw out the insult, waiting for the explosion, and instead, you give them nothing. They roll their eyes, waiting for the argument, and you stay steady. They stir the pot, waiting for you to boil, and you don't even heat up. And the longer you do it, the clearer the message becomes, you don't control me, you never did. And that's the beauty of it. You don't have to fight to win. You win by not fighting at all. Because real power isn't in proving you can shout someone. Real power is in proving they can't move you no matter how hard they try. True strength isn't loud. It isn't about raising your voice higher than theirs, or proving you can argue, outshout, or outlast somebody in a fight. True strength is calmness. It's walking into the storm and not letting it shake you. It's standing in front of somebody who's trying their hardest to get under your skin, and you don't budge. It's the kind of presence that says, I'm not here to match your chaos, I'm here to keep my peace. And here's the part most people miss. Calmness doesn't mean you're weak. Calmness doesn't mean you don't feel the heat rising in your chest. Calmness doesn't mean you let people walk all over you. Calmness means you're in control, because anybody can lose it. That's easy. Anybody can yell, anybody can slam a door, anybody can throw words they'll regret later. But not everybody can stay steady. Not everybody can breathe, hold their ground, and choose peace when everything around them is screaming for war. That takes discipline, that takes mastery, that takes real strength. Think about the people you respect most. It's not the ones who fly off the handle at every little thing. It's the ones who stay composed, the ones who don't get dragged into every battle, the ones who know exactly when to speak and when to stay silent. That kind of strength is magnetic. It draws people in. Because deep down, everyone wants that level of self-control. Everyone wants to feel untouchable, steady, free from being jerked around by emotions they can't master. And here's what's powerful. When you carry that calmness, it changes the environment around you. Your calm becomes contagious. Your steady presence disarms tension. Your refusal to react lowers the temperature in the room. You become the anchor, the one who holds still while everyone else is swaying in the storm. That's strength, that's peace, that's the kind of control no one can take from you. So here's the bottom line. Life isn't about avoiding people who push your buttons because they'll always be there. It's about refusing to give them control. You don't calm the world by silencing every voice. You calm yourself by mastering your own. Every pause, every choice not to react, every moment you hold your peace instead of handing it away, that's strength. That's freedom. And when you live like that, untouchable, steady, calm in the middle of chaos, you stop being bothered by anyone. Not because the world changed, but because you did.